Hello, Aaron. Please tell us about your experience on being in the Titan. What steps did you take before the dive?
Right. So, I mean, I actually went in August of 2021. I was on this same expedition. And what you do is you have to fly into St. John's in Canada. And out of there, you spend a couple of days in there, just logistics and preparation. We did a lot of preparation on the way, everything from training for safety measures as well as understanding the engineering and seeing the history of the Titanic and learning. So it was a really an educational trip as well, dive. So you kind of wake up early the day of, about 6 a.m. There's a lot of preparation, do some briefings, and then about 7 a.m. you end up in the sub. They bolt you in on the boat, and then you're on kind of a sled, and that sled can be rolled down into the water. And it's an incredible journey. It's about 3 hours down, and then you spend a couple hours at the bottom. So it's really an incredible experience when you land there, and you kind of feels like you're landing on the surface of the moon, because it's just this very desolate, very quiet and eerie lookout. So there is so much history and so much connection in this whole series of unfortunate events. Wendy, who is Stockton's wife, was actually the great granddaughter of a couple on the Titanic that actually did not make it. So, and it is, when you reach the bottom, it is eerie, and it is very surreal to know that this is the graveyard of thousands of people, and so there's a lot of respect that goes along with it, and trying to provide the reverence and respect that it deserves.
Aaron, there's so many information spreading just right now, because one of the passengers also mentioned that while he was in trip, he heard cracking noises, and also several times they lost connection. Did something like this happen in your trip?
Well, so yes, traditionally when you're on a submarine, and they actually told us to expect this, is you hear kind of popping as you goes down, and that's natural for when you're going down a submarine. I actually did not hear any on our journey, and I was surprised we didn't. So, but this is not a Disney ride. This is a trip that's it's an expedition where things this is the early stages of this. This is not something that you should just expect to go perfectly smoothly. These are the initial, first people that are going down there. So it does have its dangers and its risks, and that's the challenge: is how do you mitigate those risks? How do you do it as safely as possible? But to think that you don't have any risk going down is not a realistic outcome. Right. Of course, there's now a lot of armchair quarterbacking and a lot of people pointing fingers after the fact. I mean, the fact is they were on the bleeding edge and there was risks involved. But if you look at somebody, like P.H. Nargile, Paul Henry, he had been in subs for 60 years. If this was truly a bad idea, he would not have been involved. He would not have been in the sub. So, and Stockton's wife was there all the time, looking over his shoulder to make sure he wasn't cutting corners, to make sure he wasn't doing things that would have put himself in unnecessary danger. So, again, these are people that don't often have all the facts, and there's details that need to be put out there. Things like people talking about the game controller, right? Yes, the game controller was one of the systems used to steer the ship. That's the same game controller that's used on the U.S. Navy attack submarines, the latest version. So the idea that makes it a cheap, cost-cutting, a corner-cutting operation is absolutely disingenuous.
Aaron, you knew personally Stockton Rush, so what you can tell about him?
Yeah, so of course, Stockton Rush, he was the CEO and the pilot. He was the pilot for me, and he was a good friend. I had just talked with him last week about a different dive, being a part of that, and he was a visionary, right? He wanted to provide access to ocean exploration to the masses, to people. And he had a vision of that we know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the bottom of the ocean. And he wanted to help humanity become more in touch with our own oceans, our own planet, and really, there's so much down there that we could benefit from, whether it's life we haven't discovered yet, organisms, resources, energy, all of that. There's a huge opportunity here in our own oceans that we're not looking at the way we should be.
Aaron, now many people, also marine society members and scientists, demand to stop this kind of commercial tourism. So what do you think about it?
That's the silver lining, right? Is that what do we learn out of this? What do we take out of this? How do we do things better because of what happened? Fortunately, things went bad this time, and that's a tragedy for the families, tragedies for the individual involved. And we have to do things better. But the same way we have space exploration, we have people going to space, and we shouldn't be stopping this type of exploration as well. I mean, yes, people should be informed, and we should put in even more effort into safety, and we should be checking and providing some analysis of what happened to prevent this from ever happening again. But the idea of stopping humanity from moving forward because we had an accident. I mean, listen, we had accidents with with the Challenger shuttle. We had problems with the Apollo. Starlink or SpaceX has rockets blow up all the time. So these are the side effects, the unfortunate, devastating side effects of pushing humanity forward.
Before you went to the trip, you had to sign a very strict waiver, and there is written all the consequences what this trip could have, including death.
Yeah, so I mean, listen, I sign waivers all the time. You go to space, I've signed a waiver for that, that says you could die. You go to the top of a mountain, you sign a waiver that says you could die. And these are all things, if you want to do these type of activities, you have to face reality, is that these are highly risky type of things that you mitigate the risk and you take every precaution. Obviously, the waiver was nothing different than I would have signed with Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic, a mountain climbing expedition, or anything like that.
Thank you, Aaron, for the interview and sharing your story.
Thank you. Have a good day.